I'll say it. I'll just read it out. Nathaniel Wood should have got given the Cruz fight. He beat Kenny, in my opinion.
See, I spoke to Kenny about this.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. We've got some.
I'm giving you some exclusives.
Exclusives for Sean.
But I mean, when we watched that fight, I told him that we were cage side and we watched that fight, and I mean, I felt that Casey might have took it literally by a couple of inches. I mean, it was that close. And
you said that to Casey?
I didn't say that to him. I said we were cage side and we were watching, and I said it's really close. But no. But then he explained to me, the shots he was landing were doing a lot more damage. They were snapping his head back, and you could tell by looking at both of them after the fight, just from the damage on their faces, and it was
definitely, mate, definitely.
Yeah, it could have gone either way, I think, but
I don't think Nathaniel won, which is what this guy is insinuating, that Nathaniel won that fight, so he should have given the Dominic Cruz fight, which, I mean, I can understand it. That's it, really, isn't it? I can understand it. I know where you're coming from. I just don't personally agree. And that's fine. We're allowed to disagree, and it's still all good, baby.
It'd be interesting to go back and look at the statistics, because I haven't looked at the stats on that fight, so it'd be interesting to see.
Why don't you quickly pull them up? Because that'd be quite interesting. Yeah, let's have a look at that. What do you guys think? Is this a popular opinion out there that Nathaniel Wood beat Casey Kenny, in your guys' opinion? Wood versus O'Malley would be a good fight. I don't see. I actually asked Sean about this. Sean, what's your name? I can't pronounce your name. I'll just call you Sean too. But I asked Sean one about Nathaniel Wood fight, and he didn't really answer me fantastically about that, because it ended up turning out that we ended up having a discussion about fighters not watching fights, fighters not following the UFC, other than select names, and Sean was one of those guys. I was quite surprised by that. First guy I ever heard that I found out was a fighter that wasn't fighting, that wasn't watching fights, wasn't following his competitors, apparently, was Derrick Lewis. I remember when he came in for an interview. He hadn't fought. It was like a guest fighter appearance at Jones versus Santos card, and Derrick Lewis came in as a guest fighter, and people started asking him questions about the UFC and about fighters, and he was just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't watch it. I don't follow it. Who's that? I was just like, what? Do you know what I mean? And it just took me by surprise, man, because you would have thought that, like, if you are a UFC athlete, paying close attention to the game is like a quintessential aspect. You would have thought. I mean, obviously, it seems like it's not. But maybe it is for some people. Maybe it isn't for other people. Maybe it's a mental thing. Maybe it's something mental. Do you know what I mean? Where, like, if you pay too much attention, maybe it becomes too real. Maybe you start overthinking things. Maybe you're just better walking in the octagon, obviously knowing who you fight, knowing what to do, and having a game plan to a certain degree. But it's one of them. It just made me think, really, and I was quite surprised by it. And I was also quite surprised to know that Sean was also one of those guys, because from an outside perspective, he does seem like he has good MMA knowledge, and he knows a lot about certain fighters and fights. He does a lot of breakdowns and things like that.
Yeah, he strikes me as someone who would be a fan, you know what I mean, who would follow it religiously.
Definitely, yeah. But it turns out he's not. He actually had the conversation. He had a similar experience with Benson Henderson, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Because obviously Benson trains at the MMA lab, and Sean used to train religiously about 5 years ago or so. And he remembers having a discussion with Benson about the same thing, and Benson used to say to Sean, I don't watch any of the fights, and Sean used to find that weird. But now that Sean's where he is and doing what he's doing, he's finding that he's not tuning in as much. And I guess, I don't know, man, maybe that's just like a common thing, because you've made it, you're there. You just need to worry about yourself now and worry about you maintaining your position in the UFC. So that's quite interesting. I found. But yeah, Wood versus O'Malley, that would be a good fight, wouldn't it?
That would be a good fight. I'd look forward to that one.
I'm not sure Sean would be interested in fighting Nathaniel at this stage, though, from what I can gather. Yeah, I'm not sure that he would fancy that. I think Sean's got like 2 or 3 or 4 fighters in mind, and they're all like top end of the division, top 5 champions, people that are suspended as well, like TJ Dillashaw. That's another thing as well, isn't it, is TJ Dillashaw. This is a good topic for conversation, everybody, so join in the conversation, please, because I will reply, and we will be interactive with you guys inside the chat. But another point of discussion is TJ Dillashaw, right? So TJ is shouting for a title fight for his first fight back after admitting to taking EPO. Like, I don't know if that's I just don't know if that's the right thing to do. Don't get me wrong, I'm a TJ fan. I don't like, it is what it is to me. The whole thing is. But if we're looking at the fight from a moral standpoint, then, which I think is important to try and do sometimes, then I would argue that he probably shouldn't jump straight into a title fight.
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, if you've been suspended, then there has been guys in your division fighting whilst you've been suspended, and you know they've been working hard and working their way up in the division. So surely those people would be more, you know, in the right to get a title shot.
Yeah, I agree.
In my opinion, anyway.
I agree. I think I'm not even sure O'Malley's ranked.
Is he not? I thought he was 15.
Yeah, you might have to double check that for me. But he mentioned the other day when we were with him, and he spoke about himself in third person by saying unranked Sean O'Malley. So I'm not sure about that. I thought he was as well, but just if you double check that for us, or if you've got anybody in the chat that knows, fire that in. But ultimately the point I'm getting at is I do think TJ Dillashaw, when he does come back, shouldn't be jumped straight into a title fight.
Yeah, so Sean he's not ranked in the top 15 at the moment. No,
not ranked in the top 15. So I can understand why TJ probably wouldn't fancy going straight over to an O'Malley fight, but
so I think someone for TJ would be like someone like Corey Sandhagen. You know, these guys who are challenging, and you know, if TJ does want a title shot, he needs to beat guys like that, and then, you know, after maybe he'd be in contention. But like I said, there's these guys who are ranked 3rd, 4th, 5th, and surely they would, you know, be more likely to get the title shot.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. Corey Sandhagen, that was it. That is a good fight. That's a cool fight for him, for TJ to come back into. Thing is, right? Let's say TJ comes back into a title fight, right? In his first fight back, and he loses. I kind of think that does a little bit more damage to his stock than if he came straight back and didn't fight straight away for the belt and still lost. Because of all of the build-up to a fight like that, if he was to go for a championship fight, and he's just lost on EPO, and then he loses again straight into a title fight, I think that does more damage to his stock than taking taking a top 5 and losing.
Raises
just because
more
of
questions.
and you've got more eyes on you going for the belt, so more people are going to be judging you and speculating and talking about you, which if you lose is going to be detrimental to your stock. And this is all just in my opinion, obviously, guys. So but yeah, that is an interesting point of discussion. I think the bantamweight division at the moment is pretty damn fire, man. In my opinion, it's probably one of my favourite divisions at the moment. Is the bantamweight division. How about you?
I was going to say, just before that, I was going to go back to the Nathaniel Wood and Casey Kenny fight.
Okay.
Just look up, because I've got the stats up here.
Oh yeah, all right. Let's get them up.
According to UFC stats, Casey Kenny won the first 2 rounds, but it's so close. He won the first round, the second, and Nathaniel just edged the third. But if you look at the significant strikes, so Nathaniel Wood threw 321 strikes and landed 136, which gave him...
So hang on, slow down a bit, right?
Sorry.
So, no, that's all right. No, you're all good, mate, honestly. Just read that again, but just let me digest those numbers.
So Nathaniel Wood in the whole fight threw 321 strikes. And
so he threw 320...
Landed 136 of those.
So he threw 321 strikes. 321 strikes. And he landed
136.
Right, so just below half.
Yeah, so that gave him a significant strike percentage of 42%.
Yeah, 42%, right. That is interesting. What about Casey?
So Casey Kenny, he threw a total of 247 strikes and landed 123 of those.
How many did Wood land again?
Wood landed 136.
Ah.
But if you look at the significant strike percentage, so even though Wood threw more, Casey landed more of his actual total strikes.
Right, okay.
So even though he landed less strikes, the strike, the effort he gave did more damage. So
that's very interesting.
So even though it sometimes can look like someone's ahead on the strikes because they're throwing more, but they're not necessarily landing, obviously Casey landed more and did more damage.
And obviously there's more to a fight than stats.
Of course.
There's a lot of things that you can't write down in stats, isn't there, that happen in fights, like well, I don't know actually, because I was about to say like octagon control and things like that, but there probably is somebody marking that stuff down. But there's a lot of stuff that when you're watching a fight, you feel. Do you know what I mean? Like the stats can be one thing, but if you're watching a fight and you feel a certain way and you're picking up, off a certain energy of a fight, of somebody winning, then it's a very convoluted. It's just very convoluted, isn't it? Watching and breaking down fights in an objective way.